this edition of Sightings. Is the end really near? Prophets are receiving terrifying visions of the apocalypse.
Breaking up of the United States will occur before 97.
We anticipate about half of the population of the planet will be killed in the...
Then, this woman's dream of her own past life brings a family together after 50 years.
I know it's very hard for people to understand, but to me, our mother came back to us.
Plus, is the Canadian government hiding the truth about this photograph?
That a large object could hover over downtown Montreal and no official response. That, to me, is fascinating.
Later, a psychic detective helps police search for a child's killer, and a lake monster captured on tape.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs were wiped off the face of the planet. 1,000 years ago, an entire race of people, the Maya, vanished from the Earth, leaving no survivors. But that's ancient history. Or is it? Many modern-day prophets are warning that in the year 2000, it will be our turn to go.
We're going to see storms of such intensity that they will break all historic records. The prophets said they would be so great that people would drop dead in sheer terror at what they see coming.
Hurricane winds and rain pelt the East Coast, and you'll see that the East Coast breaks up extensively in the prophecies. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and also New York City are all underwater.
These are pretty powerful events that are going to be happening, and we anticipate about half of the population of the planet will be killed in the...
These are the dire predictions of a diverse group of prophets, biblical scholars, scientists, and philosophers who have a warning. Whether they call it Armageddon, the apocalypse, or doomsday, modern prophets want everyone on Earth to prepare for cataclysmic changes they see in the near future.
It's everywhere. It's every period of history we know anything about, every part of the world we know anything about. They're talking about a global transformation.
Ted Daniels is editor and publisher of the Millennial Prophecy Report, a newsletter that tracks the predictions of over 1,000 millennial groups.
According to these folks, it's going to be a period of great turmoil. Continents are going to split apart. Volcanoes are going to erupt all at once all around the planet. Earthquakes, tidal waves, plagues, the basic stuff in the book of Revelation. They all agree pretty much that things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get any better.
Some biblical scholars see the book of Revelation as a blueprint for disaster and a warning for those who do not adhere to its beliefs.
There will continue to be a great increase in volcanic and earthquake activity. I believe that we will see major plagues breaking out in the world, as well as famines increase. These are things that are not pleasant to think about, but the Bible predicted this is what's going to happen.
Author and biblical interpreter Hal Lindsey first drew international attention with the publication of his book of prophecies, The Late Great Planet Earth.
And I think what the late great planet Earth did was make the non-religious person become aware that there was a definite pattern or scenario of predicted events.
Lindsey believes that the detonation of the first atomic bomb signaled the beginning of the end, as predicted in the book of Revelation. A real Armageddon could now be unleashed at the push of a button, and he believes that the button is in very shaky hands.
The prophets have indicated that we're going to see a thermonuclear war in the Middle East that will drag the whole world into it. This was predicted, that this, as a matter of fact, the Bible says the last war of the world will start because of a dispute over Jerusalem, who owns it.
The Bible isn't the only source of apocalyptic prophecies. Impending worldwide disaster is also being predicted by scientists who see catastrophe in the stars.
All of the visible planets and the sun and the moon and the earth will all be in a straight line on May 5th in the year 2000.
Astronomers confirm that all 9 planets in our solar system will be aligned on May 5th the year 2000. Richard Kinninger, a structural engineer, believes that this planetary alignment will create a gravitational pull so great the poles will shift.
It's not a tumbling of the entire planet, but a sliding of the crust relative to the core over the kind of semi-liquid magma that all the continents float on. The loss of life is going to be tremendous, with land sinking and rising and tsunami and great storms as a result of all of these things. Volcanoes will be going off that have been quiescent for thousands of years. About half of the population of the world will probably die during those 3 days.
Earth scientists reject Kinninger's alignment theory, but do agree that cataclysmic Earth changes can occur for other reasons.
It may very well be that we have periods of time when many volcanoes are active all at once. This could change the climatic situation on a global basis. Having a cluster of earthquakes simultaneously.
In anticipation of the apocalypse he sees coming on May 5th, 2000, Kinninger has established the community of Adelphi, where he and his followers plan for their own survival.
Our means of survival primarily is to use lighter-than aircraft to get off the surface of the planet while all of these major changes are occurring. And this is 14 stories high. It's about 300 yards across, and they could carry literally 1,000 passengers. We can have a whole fleet of them to use for commercial purposes until such time as we would need it for the airlift.
Laurie Adele Toy's prophetic messages are strikingly similar to Kinninger's. Toy believes her visions of the end of the world were given to her by spiritual guides she calls the Ascendant Masters.
The prophecies start in the Pacific Northwest, where Washington and Oregon are underwater, leaving the Cascade Range of mountains as a series of small islands. The Sierra Madres become as a chain of islands, and the new seaport city of Phoenix is where the new coastline is.
Gordon Michael Scallion, who has accurately predicted many earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in the past, agrees with Toy's vision of the future.
The breaking up of the United States as to make islands in California and major earthquakes in Oregon and Washington and the Cascades and the eruption of Mount Rainier will occur before 97.
One geological explanation for the flooding of the coastlines is the increase in sea level, the rise in sea level, perhaps due to further melting of the glaciers and ice sheets, for example, on Antarctica and Greenland. So that's actually quite plausible.
The Mississippi and the Missouri rivers are now widened to almost 6 times to 8 times their size during this time of global warming, and also 2 years of continuous rains, which were prophesied as a result of the simultaneous explosion of volcanoes in the Pacific Rim.
Laurie Adele Toy has created a future map of the Earth based on the visions she believes have been dictated to her by the Ascended Masters. Gordon Michael Scallion's prophetic future map of the Earth is almost identical to Toy's. Remarkable, because the two have never met or shared their ideas.
The year 2000, and it's going to come for everybody in the world at once. So therefore, it has to have a cosmic meaning, of course. And in fact, of course, it's entirely arbitrary.
Not all cultures share the same calendar, but doomsday prophets insist we will all share the same fate. The word apocalypse comes from the Greek meaning to reveal what is hidden, and many prophets are warning that what is hidden is starting to bubble to the surface.
Before you start shopping for beachfront property in Colorado, keep this in mind. The last time the millennium changed, similar predictions of doom were rampant throughout Europe, causing widespread panic as the year 1000 approached.
When sightings continues, a woman's dreams reunite her with children from a past life.
It was almost an obsessive need to find out what had happened to them.
The belief that death is followed by rebirth in a new body, reincarnation, is shared by many peoples, including Hindus, Buddhists, and Australian Aborigines. But Western Judeo-Christian religions reject the idea that our souls return in different bodies. So when a Catholic family in Ireland met a woman who said that she was the reincarnation of their dead mother, they rejected her completely, at first.
This is Jenny Coquelle and her family. Jenny, her husband, and their 2 children live in Northamptonshire, England. But when she was a child, Jenny was haunted by vivid, recurring dreams in which she was the mother of a different family in a different town, living in a cottage she dreamt about and drew pictures of in minute detail.
It was the first cottage on the left, along a little lane, because there was only one door. There were only a couple of windows. If you entered the cottage, you had to actually shut the door behind you before you could turn left or right, because it was there was a fairly tight space there. There was a bit of a wooden partition immediately in front. To the right, you entered the bedroom. To the left, you entered the living room. There was a large fireplace that dominated the kitchen living area.
There were also recurring dreams about a jetty, a church, children, 8 in all, who called her Mama, and a husband who called her Mary. It all seemed too real to be just a dream.
If you dream of yourself in another time in a different body, that may be not a Freudian distortion or a symbol, but an actual past life memory fragment emerging. I've had people know their way around cities in Europe and they had never been there before. They knew the streets, where the old church was, this kind of thing. These are spontaneous memories of past lifetimes.
In Jenny's case, her spontaneous memories were so detailed, she could actually draw road maps of the town in her dreams.
I remember drawing the maps throughout childhood. I used to refine them and draw them better, and I didn't want to forget because I was determined to be able to go there one day. When I was given a school atlas, and I thought, if I look at this, I've got to know where it is. I mean, all the other stuff was fairly instinctive. And I spent some time just looking at it and thinking, and the whole time I was drawn back to the same place. Again and again, I was just drawn back to one area.
That area was Malahide, Ireland, 300 miles away from her home in England. It was here that Jenny felt she had lived before, as Mary, a mother of 8. After years of wondering, Jenny finally visited Malahide and discovered that her childhood maps were strikingly similar to real maps of the town. Would she also find the cottage, jetty, and church that had haunted her dreams?
Although I had gone to Malahide expecting to find things that I had remembered, the accuracy quite shook me. I started out looking for the jetty. There was a tremendous sense of having been there before, of remembering it, but it wasn't really enough. So I then walked up to Church Street, and I stopped in my tracks. I had not really taken in how detailed the drawing I had made of this church had been. I did feel elated. I knew that I'd got the right place. I knew that this was the village.
But when Jenny followed her dream maps to the place where she believed the cottage would be, there was nothing there but an overgrown field. At first, she was disappointed. A crucial piece of the puzzle didn't fit. But looking beyond the gate, she saw broken wood beams and a bit of stone and mortar. It seemed somehow familiar. Jenny pushed her way through the tall grass and tangled vines until she saw this. Immediately, she felt as if she were in a waking dream in which she was Mary, a mother of 8, and she was home.
The first thing I wanted to do was just burst into tears. I mean, it was the first real, tangible proof of something that had existed in the past that I had remembered. It was the first thing I could touch.
But as Jenny explored the remnants of what she now believed was a past life, she had a vision of her own past death in childbirth.
A sense of disorientation, the sort of thing that you get with a high fever. Difficulty breathing, great difficulty breathing. There was considerable pain to start off with. At the point of death, that seemed to vanish altogether. What I do remember, and have always remembered, is actually the point of leaving the body. The sensation that was left at that time was just of what was going to happen to the children.
Jenny wondered, if she was able to find her town, her church, and her home, could she also find her children? Was anyone alive who could remember that family who once lived in the cottage and confirm the reality of her past life dreaming?
I had a sense of responsibility for the children, and it was almost an obsessive need to find out what had happened to them, find out where they were, how they were.
When we return, Jenny Coquelle searches for proof that she's lived before and finds an aging family that believes Jenny is the reincarnation of their long-dead mother.
Coming up next.
I realized it's going to be a strange story to approach them with.
Is it proof of reincarnation or a miracle?
To me, our mother came back to us.
In childhood, Jenny Coquelle had visions of a past life in which she was a mother who died young, leaving 8 children behind. As an adult, Jenny came to believe those visions after a profound déjà vu experience in a small Irish town. Well, now Jenny searches for the children who would now be in their 70s and 80s that she believes she left behind.
In the 1930s, a young mother named Mary lived and died here in Malahide, Ireland. Jenny Coquelle believes she is the reincarnation of Mary. In one of many recurring dreams, she recalls a moment from her past life.
It must have been about November. It was that sort of time of year where you get a heavy dew and it's quite cool first thing in the morning. Because the children came running in very early in the morning. We've got something. We've come and have a look. Everybody came out of the cottage to have a look and see what they caught in their snare. And the children all stood around in a circle. And I remember having to look through the middle of this little circle of heads.
Based on the period clothing and household items in her dreams, Jenny believed that Mary lived around the turn of the century. If that was true, at least some of Mary's children might still be alive. Jenny felt she had to try to find them.
I think I just needed to know they were okay. I realized it was going to be a problem because I realized it was going to be a strange story to approach them with.
But how could Jenny find those children? The cottage was gone. Neighboring cottages had been torn down to make way for new homes. Jenny walked the old country lanes, took out ads, wrote letters. It seemed like a futile search until she found a link.
I was able to find somebody who lived in the area, had lived in the area for a long time, and was able to remember the family, had actually been to school with the children.
That person was the son of the man who had built the cottage. He told Jenny the mother's name was Mary Sutton. Armed with a last name, Jenny was able to track down Mary's marriage license from 1917, her death certificate dated 1932, and then, through the help of a priest, Jenny obtained baptism records for 6 of the 8 Sutton children. They came from a church, just as Mary had dreamed.
I knew the oldest child was very supportive, quiet, fairly gentle, but self-assured. I mean, he was a fairly confident sort of person. I referred to him as a little soldier.
She searched for her little soldier and found him, 75-year-old Sonny Sutton. Imagine getting a telephone call out of the blue from a young woman claiming to be your long-dead mother.
I know it's very hard for people to understand, but to me, our mother came back to us. She told me that I lived in a lodge, and the entrance to the lodge was not facing the road.
The cottage itself was set slightly sideways to the road, and there was a wall near to the cottage itself.
She also told me that there was 2 pictures hanging on the wall.
A photograph of a soldier.
Which is correct. It was my mother's brother.
Sonny came to accept Jenny as the reincarnation of his mother and presented her with this, the only known photograph of Mary Sutton. He also told her how, after Mary's death, the children had been separated, sent to different orphanages, and adopted out. Together, Sonny and Jenny found and reunited the surviving children. Christy, 72, Phyllis, 71, Frank, 70, and Betty, 62, who thought she was an only child.
I never even knew I was adopted, or that I had brothers, or I had sisters.
It's an incredible story. Elderly brothers and sisters reunited by a young woman's otherworldly dreams. It's a case that has caught the attention of noted psychiatrist Dr. Brian Weiss.
Jenny's happens to be one of the most interesting cases of all because there's really such good documentation. The Irish children of Mary Sutton, who are now in their late 60s and 70s, these are very believable people. They know that Jenny is coming up with memories or knowledge of their childhoods Things that were not published anywhere. This is not a famous family. This was a fairly impoverished family.
Revisiting the remains of the cottage in Malahide rekindled long-buried memories now vividly recalled by Jenny and the children.
The whole home, as you're looking at it, this is the home that was 10 people in at one time. My mother, father, and 8 children.
There was a large fireplace that dominated the kitchen living area.
The fireplace was where Mammy used to cook. She used to bake bread on that.
I remembered stuffing the mattress, and on one particular day, trying to get it back through the door again.
I couldn't get it back in. That was for the bed, the mattress for the bed.
And then, at the jetty, Sonny filled in the final unexplained piece of the puzzle, the reason why Jenny had dreamed of this place for so many years.
When I told him about my memory of the jetty and standing there at dusk with the shore and the cold wind, he said, well, I know what that was about.
I knew then that she was telling me something that nobody else could know. I'm the one that came down these steps. I'm the one that went over there. And my mother was the one that come down to meet me.
As a young boy, Sonny caddied at a golf course on a nearby island. His mother would wait for his return every evening. Is Jenny Coquelle the reincarnation of Mary Sutton? How does she know the details of a life that ended 21 years before she was born? For the children, it's a miracle.
We got a lot of pleasure out of what has happened.
For Jenny, finding the Suttons has finally brought an end to the prophetic dreams she has had since childhood.
There's a sense of freedom, which is strange. I don't feel the same kind of responsibility towards them. I've been allowed to accept that they have grown up, that they're individuals. There's still a sense of responsibility, but it's different. I don't feel tied to the past in quite the way that I felt I was for half a lifetime. I'm able to sort of look out and see things from a different perspective now.
Before Jenny Coquelle entered their lives, the children of Mary Sutton didn't share holidays, exchange family photos, or even write to one another. Whether or not you believe that Jenny is the reincarnated spirit of their dead mother, she has brought the family together, just the way a real mother would.
Coming up next.
I saw this thing.
A kind of pencil of light.
A mass sighting of a mysterious craft leaves unanswered questions. Then, a psychic hunts for a child killer, and a Japanese lake monster caught on tape.
On the night of November 7th, 1990, more than 40 people standing on a hotel rooftop in Montreal, Canada, shared a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Above them, in the night sky, an enormous oval of light, described by many as a mothership, hovered silently for more than 2 hours. Now, these eyewitnesses were all part of the most significant mass UFO sighting in Canadian history.
UFO sightings by multiple witnesses are extremely rare. Perhaps the largest mass sighting occurred in 1991, when hundreds of people in Mexico City all reported seeing the same UFO appear and reappear over a one-week period. But despite hours of videotaped footage and eyewitness accounts, the Mexico sightings were never investigated by a single military or governmental agency. And in Montreal, the largest mass sighting in Canadian history is receiving the same lack of attention from the very people who could hold the key to unlocking one of the world's most profound UFO mysteries. It happened on a foggy November night in 1991. More than 40 people all shared a stunning experience.
I saw this thing.
It was not looking like an object at all.
Stunned. There's no other word. I was stunned.
Bernard Canet said that he saw the UFO as he hurried home from a late night at the office.
It was more like a kind of pencil of light. It was a greenish color, but looking very odd.
Guests at the Montreal Bonaventure Hotel reported seeing the UFO while swimming in the rooftop pool. Lifeguard Lynn St. Pierre was on duty that night.
So I stepped outside, I looked at the lights, and I was kind of scared because I didn't know what it was. So I went back in. I said, somebody pinched me, because I don't believe what I see.
This is a photograph of the object they all saw. Shrouded by a thick blanket of fog, the UFO appeared to hover low in the night sky for nearly 3 hours.
My first reaction while driving was, well, it's probably some kind of a promotional stunt for the Olympic Stadium, you know, probably a game or something.
I saw about, I would say, 6, 7, 8 spots within the shape of an egg.
I could even hear the sound the thing was making. It was a very definite purring sound, you know, some kind of a...
Every corners that I went, I had that thing over my head.
I was puzzled, basically. I said, you know, what is this thing? But never did I think that I was seeing a UFO of some sort, you know, or that this thing would be coming from God knows where.
Eyewitnesses called Montreal's largest French-language newspaper, La Presse. A reporter and photographer were dispatched to the hotel rooftop.
I believe that I have seen lights or glimmers, but I cannot say at all what it is.
A nearby construction site was lit with spotlights pointed skyward. Some eyewitnesses dismissed what they were seeing as the light's reflection in the fog.
After those lights were shut down, the phenomenon, the lights remained in the sky, so it was not a reflection of some sort.
Constable Moray received the first reports of a UFO sighting. He called the airport and the military to see if they were picking up the object on radar. They were not.
Well, in my experience, I did see a fair bit of everything, but I never encountered anything similar to that. It did not disappear quickly, it faded away type of thing.
The next morning, a cursory account of the UFO sighting, written by Jules Bellevaux, was published in La Presse, accompanied by one of the pictures taken by photographer Marcel Laroche from the hotel rooftop. Bernard Guénette read that article and realized that what he had seen the night before needed further investigation. The police were unresponsive, so Guénette contacted aerial anomalies expert Dr. Richard Haynes.
One of the things that's important about this sighting is the number of highly credible eyewitnesses that later drew pictures of what they saw. They all pretty much saw the same thing. Well, why is that significant? Because it says it is not hallucination.
Dr. Haynes examined the color negatives of the UFO photographs. He also analyzed digital enhancements of the images, which yielded controversial results.
We are talking here about an object. It was not a light reflection, let's say from a man-made lights on the ground.
During their investigation, Guénette and Haynes also discovered that a military base a few miles from the hotel had experienced an unexplained power failure on the night of the UFO sightings.
The base experienced a 12,000-volt lead failure for a period of time. I find that very interesting.
A computer mock-up of the UFO was created based on measurements done on site. It was determined that the UFO could have been over 6,000 feet wide. The calculations and an exhaustive research report went to more than 50 organizations. Not one responded.
That's significant. That a large object could hover over downtown Montreal, a major metropolitan area of North America, and be seen by so many people, pictures drawn of it, photographs taken of it, and no official response. That, to me, is fascinating.
It was something quite extraordinary. They had the feeling that it was not from here, that it was different.
Based on my experience as a police officer, I really can't say what the origin of these lights was.
I'll remember it for the rest of my life, that's for sure. But since I made a lot of interviews, everybody's asking me questions and recognizing me in the street. They won't stop me, but they look at me like I'm a UFO. It changed my life in that kind of way.
I know that I've seen something, I've heard the thing, and no way someone's going to convince me that I've seen some kind of a tricky lighting pattern. I mean, there was an object up there. It corresponds to the descriptions that were taken from the other people on site, and I'll never forget it, essentially.
Although the lights hovered over Montreal for nearly 3 hours and between 40 and 75 eyewitnesses were present, no official government or military unit was dispatched to investigate. One wonders what it would take for authorities to feel a sighting is worthy of investigation.
Next on Sightings, police and a psychic detective try to find a child's killer.
I've never had a case that affected me in this manner.
In St. Louis, she was just Baby Jane, a faceless, nameless 9-year-old murder victim who lay in the county morgue for months, unclaimed and unloved. She was buried in a pauper's grave. That was 11 years ago, and police still don't know who she was or who killed her. To keep the case alive, Sightings offered the services of psychic Noreen Renaer.
In the best of all possible worlds, children are a cherished blessing, a living miracle. They are meant to be loved and nurtured when they are young, set free when they're ready. But this is not the best of all possible worlds, and not all children are treated as a precious gift. In 1983, the decapitated body of a 9-year-old girl was found in the basement of an abandoned building in St. Louis. The building is gone now, its neighbor condemned and forgotten. But St. Louis Police Sergeant Joe Burgoon will never forget what he found here 11 years ago.
Where I'm standing at would be approximately where our victim was found. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 gentlemen went down in the basement. It was completely dark down there. And one of them had a cigarette lighter, and he flicked the lighter on, and he observed what appeared to be a body on the floor. He then immediately turned and ran out and called the police.
We responded to that location, and in the basement, there was the decapitated body of a young black female. And I was devastated when I saw the body. No police officer wants to see a child brutally murdered in that fashion.
After years on the beat, police officers develop a hard shell. They have to. But this was one case that hit Detective Atkins in the gut.
I still get chill bumps when I think about this case. Many nights I've awakened in the sweat, the cold sweat.
No parent reported a missing child. No school reported a missing student. When the child was finally laid to rest, there was no funeral. She was just a number on a marker, until area school children raised the money to purchase a tombstone, so we wouldn't forget.
It just doesn't make any sense why you would have to do that to a little girl.
When word of the case reached the Sightings offices, we immediately called psychic Noreen Renaer. Having produced hundreds of clues that have helped solve dozens of police cases, Noreen wanted to help. Using a process called psychometry, she is able to psychically experience the crime herself.
I get pictures. They're very disjointed pictures, images, sort of like a foggy dream, fading.
We arranged for a phone meeting between Detectives Burgoon and Atkins in St. Louis and Noreen in Orlando, Florida. Assisted by hypnotist Walt Steeb, Noreen tries to put herself into the crime scene. She touches the rope found on the dead child and slowly begins to speak as if she were the young victim.
He's holding my hand. I feel like he's holding my left hand.
As Noreen moves deeper into her trance, she begins to experience what she believes is the physical and emotional pain of the child.
Okay, I need you to forget the pain, Noreen. Go beyond the pain.
My chest is hurting me as I'm being strangled.
Noreen had no prior knowledge of the case. She was told only that the victim was a young female, found decapitated.
Any other body damage that would indicate some other cause of death other than decapitation?
First. She was manually strangled. And then after death, she was decapitated. That's what the medical examiner tells us.
Her accuracy was compelling to the detectives who had been openly skeptical before the session.
I'll accept the help of a psychic, although I'm not optimistic.
The semen was, I don't know if there's types of semen, or it tells if semen could tell blood type. Can we get any verification on what I've said so far?
There was semen found.
The detectives had many unanswered questions. They hoped Noreen could answer.
Where was she killed?
Where the river and the border is. The river goes up and down.
Do you see the bridge crossing this river?
I do. I see the bridge. There's a very strong B in the name.
Would the name Brooklyn mean anything to you?
Yes.
Belleville?
Noreen's psychic vision affirmed the detective's theory that the child was killed out of state, then dumped in St. Louis. But where was she from? Who was her family? Noreen began to answer the detectives as if the child was speaking through her.
Your mother and father?
My mother did things that some people would think was wrong. Sometimes I saw her crying and they tied something around her arm and it was rubber-like. And then they put something.
If the parents were involved in illegal activities, they might not phone the police when their daughter disappeared. But what about her school? Wouldn't they report a missing child?
Who was your favorite teacher?
My teacher took me. My teacher took me.
Your teacher took you?
My teacher took me. It's my teacher.
The detectives asked Noreen to give them more details about the teacher.
Got kicked out of the service so I would have a dishonorable discharge.
A police composite artist was called to the meeting to get a physical description of the supposed killer.
The face shape itself would be long. I can see his forehead, so his hair must go back away from his forehead. The eyes are smaller, more close set.
Noreen's intriguing leads have given the case new life. Perhaps soon, little Jane Doe won't be just a date of death on a blank tombstone, and the person who killed her will be punished for what he has done.
I've never had a case that affected me in this manner, and that still continues to affect me. And I would give anything to have this case solved.
Here's another look at the artwork based on Noreen Renaer's psychic visions. Because of leads she's provided, the St. Louis Police Department has reactivated this case. If you have any information about baby Jane, please contact the Homicide Division of the St. Louis Police Department.
When sightings returns, a legendary lake monster known as Ishii is captured on tape.
Two bumps were moving at the same time together.
For the past 30 years, at least one Japanese import has been unaffected by trade and tariff disputes. Japanese monster movies. Well, now the country that brought us Mothra and Rodan and Godzilla has a new monster named Ishii. But this monster isn't created from latex and paint. The Japanese believe that he is a real-life lake monster who's made his film debut in a startling home video shot earlier this year.
The eyewitnesses who saw this creature in person are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that what they saw was a lake monster legend come to life. They are thought to be living fossils, prehistoric creatures that have defied extinction. They plumb the depths of freshwater lakes around the world. The most famous are the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, Champ in Lake Champlain, New York, and Ogopogo in Lake Okanagan, British Columbia. Located over 1,000 miles from Tokyo on the southern Japanese island of Kyushu, Lake Akita is formed by an extinct volcano and is nearly 1,000 feet deep. While many sightings of the creature dubbed Ishii have been carefully documented over the last 16 years, the man who's credited with Ishii's initial discovery on September 3, 1978, is Hiroto Kawaji. His house sits right at the water's edge.
I was 10 years old at the time, and about 20 of my classmates had come over to my house after school. Around 6 o'clock, there in the water, I noticed something rise up about 200 meters from shore. Many of my friends were playing ball, and I yelled out to them, "Look, there in the water." My parents and grandparents also came out and saw the creature. It stayed there for about 3 to 5 minutes, then swam away at a very high speed. My grandparents were not surprised, as they have heard stories of such a creature in the lake. So nothing much was done after that day, but after about 6 months, word had spread to local newspapers about what we saw. And then they came. Newspaper photographers, writers, and many TV reporters.
Those newspaper reports kicked off a media frenzy and merchandising bonanza that continues to gain momentum year after year. Tour buses bring visitors by the thousands to Akita Paradise, a theme park overlooking the lake. There's no frightening aspect to the legend of this monster. Ishii is embraced with fanciful curiosity, and there's Ishii merchandise in every size and shape. The employees who work here have become rather casual about the monster, not because of the variety of souvenirs, but because they claim to see the real thing so often.
I've seen Ishii many times, and is the most noticeable out there on calm days when no wind disturbs the water. First, you see waves forming. Then the black lumps can be seen above the water as it swims away at high speed.
What is this creature? Here, it surfaces momentarily, only to submerge and then resurface again and again before disappearing entirely. Many photographs have been taken over the years by different eyewitnesses. They all bear Ishii's calling card, an enigmatic disturbance on the surface of the lake. Some believe Ishii is a giant eel, like this one, kept on display at one lakeside tourist attraction. But could an eel grow to nearly 100 feet in length, as seen on this video? Akihiko Ikemizu created the Ishii Investigation Group that set out to monitor activity on the lake in hopes of photographing Ishii close up.
I saw Ishii from the long distance, but I don't really think that was big eel because I saw tail. Then I saw two bumps also. Two bumps were moving at the same time together.
Tsuyoshi Matsuyama claims to have had the largest number of Ishii sightings.
It is right here at this spot where I first saw Ishii. I was a ferry boat driver at the time, and one of my passengers said, "What is that there in the water?" I came out and saw the head of a large creature above the water and quickly turned the boat in that direction. Even though I gave my boat its full power, the beast swam very fast and very quickly, then dove under the water to get away. I would guess that I have seen Ishii 20 to 30 times since then, and each time it amazed me. But I've not given up. I spend many hours on these waters, and someday I'll get absolute proof that Ishii is here.
Ishii's supposed home in Lake Akita fits a pattern of sightings that has existed for over 100 years. Monsters like Nessie, Champ, Ogopogo, and now Ishii all live in freshwater lakes between 40 and 60 degrees north latitude. In the United States, all 5 Great Lakes fall within these monster-prone latitudes.
If you've had a paranormal experience, call the Sightings Hotline at 1-900-933-SIGHT. That's 1-900-933-7444. Each call 65 cents a minute. Average call lasts 3 minutes. Sightings is also online. Our email address is sightings@aol.com.
Until next time, remember, no mystery is closed to an open mind. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.